What's going on, ghosties? Welcome back to Tales of Spooky Coffee House. If you're new here, welcome to our podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Chelsea,
And I'm Veronica.
and it's time for our much needed coffee break. Veronica,
Yes.
you know that spooky season has started, right?
Yes.
And for those of you that belong here, spooky season never starts nor ends. But
Yes.
my my friend out here has noticed that I need like a pick me up recently.
hmm
You know why.
hmm
And her answer to this, what do we do, is we're gonna start ski season, like there's goals and everything in the stores and stuff.
hmm
And have you seen the TikToks where people are crystallizing like books?
No.
So there's this thing. I think you use borax, to be honest. I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to like actually look at the recipe. But
hmm
people have been taking old books or your favorite book or just whatever and crystallizing them. And it takes like a week, I think, to fully crystallize it. And so she had the bright idea to get together on a weekend and crystallize books, skulls, and possibly even real bones, because we're in the Midwest, like we know a lot of hunters, and yeah, so we thought we could go get some like animal bones and crystallize them.
I think you should have started off by saying animal bones.
I was trying not to be too creepy for some of our more sensitive listeners.
I hope we don't have any because this wouldn't be the podcast for you.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, so I think that's gonna be a really great pick me up session.
I'm excited for you. I want to see pictures. I'm gonna look into that though because I've not come across those TikToks and I'm very curious to see what they look like.
Yeah, I'll for sure send them to you the next time they go onto my FYP page.
hmm
And then when I do them, I'm gonna say I'm gonna post them on Instagram. Um, and I mean it when I say it, but if it actually happens is yet to be determined. But other than that, I'm pretty sure I know the answer. Do you know who Leslie Van Houten is?
No.
So, I don't know why I haven't brought this up sooner. This happened in like July, but that was like when we were at our not recording
hmm
time.
We were on a
And
break.
yeah, on our break. And Leslie Van Houten was released from prison after 53 years. She is 73 now. She was 19 when she joined Charles Manson and his cult,
Oh, yes.
and 20 years old when she was convicted of murder.
Mm-hmm.
And she was released a couple of weeks ago after 53 years in prison.
So, class, how do we feel about that?
Yes. I feel like a lot of people don't really know. It was something that wasn't like really big on my feeds and stuff.
hmm
I think the only reason it did show up on my feed, because I'm in the Midwest, not we don't I don't get very many things from California, is just because I'm so like my search history is so into true crime.
hmm
But yeah, this was something that we didn't think was going to happen in our lifetime. And
Yeah.
she had applied for parole, I believe, 5 times, and it was blocked every single time in the
hmm
last, I think, since 2017, 16, somewhere around there.
hmm
And it was, I think it was around the time that Charles Manson died that she applied for parole. But the governor in California reversed the blockage so that she could be released. And many people are conflicted. There's obviously the victims' families are really upset. And there was some people who were talking about how she was in an easily manipulative state of mind at the time,
hmm
because she was a teenage runaway who was addicted to drugs before she met Manson, and that made her easily susceptible to his manipulation. So there was a lot of discussion about her mental state at the time and how now that she's older, she knows the difference between right and wrong, and
hmm
she's no longer doing drugs or drinking alcohol. And but yeah.
So, you know
That's a
what?
discussion for a later time.
Well, it kind of leads me into this because I was going to bring this up a while ago, and I think it makes sense to kind of bring it up now. So, you're talking about someone who did the crime, did the time, now they're out, they're old, they're 73.
Hmm.
I heard of a woman who is around 73, maybe older, maybe in her 80s. She lied and convinced authorities that a young black male committed some crimes or whatnot, and they ended up beating the kid to death pretty much. And the kid was black, right? So years later, it's officially known. Unfortunately, it took this long. It's officially known that the kid was innocent and the woman just did it out of spite. So the question was, should she still be sent to prison,
Yes.
even though it happened so long ago and she's already like old?
I feel like the answer should be yes.
I wouldn't feel bad for someone who had the fucking even idea of doing that.
Yeah.
Because I've seen pictures of the kid and it's just bad. It's
I think I know the case that
traumatizing.
you're referring to.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also like there was this woman who accused a black man of raping her,
Mm-hmm.
and he was sent to prison for,
Mm-hmm.
gosh, 25, 30 years before. And it's like at that point, his whole life has been spent in prison. What is he supposed to do? And like
Yeah.
when he was released, they paid him like,
Millions or something,
yeah,
but
they paid
even
him
then it
millions.
wasn't
Yeah.
even enough. Like you took decades of this man's life,
And think that a couple
innocent
million
life.
dollars is gonna make up for it. Like
Hmm.
that's, yeah.
Moving on. uh
Yeah, because we're both getting like really upset right now.
let's switch things up. Let's talk about something that I just
Snack
saw on
possession?
TikTok. I see the finished recording right in front of me, and I really want to hit that X so bad right now. Anyways, Chelsea's just making fun of me because I almost misspelled snake. But moving on, um, let's talk about the demonic snake that possessed a man in Japan. Um, Interesting, right? So pretty much,
I
there's this
think it was
man.
much more interesting when it was a demonic snack that possessed a man. I'm just saying.
Oh my god.
I think that's more interesting.
Anyways, well, this story only gets more interesting, and this is a true story that took place in Japan. All right, so this guy, I believe he was in his 20s, he suddenly started to believe that he was a snake. So he would like is it slither around the
Yeah.
house, around the ground, stuff like that. So the dad of
The picture that I just got in my head of that is fucking weird as shit.
it's gonna get weirder. Let me add to that image, okay? Let me
No.
add to that image. So the dad thought, my son is possessed by a demonic snake. Like that's what it is. So what did the dad do to help take out the demonic snake from said man? So the dad then got on the floor and started slithering like a snake himself, and he would head bump his son. There's another word for that, not head bump. What do the goats do with the things?
Head bump.
No, there's another word for it. Anyway, so he would continuously head bump with him, and he would start biting him. The dad would start biting the son. He continued to do this for 2 days,
Oh
and
my
it
God.
eventually led to the man who was supposedly possessed by a demonic snake to die. Like he died.
The
And so
sun
now
died?
the son died, the one that was supposedly possessed by a snake. So now they're saying that the dad lied and that they just killed the son and made up this very ridiculous story to cover it up.
Well, okay, well, how did he die?
Because the dad kept head bumping him like really hard, and he kept biting him like all over his body, biting.
Okay.
Yeah, you like that
That's
image? Isn't it
that's
fun?
that's wild. Like
That's a wild ride, bro. I had to say it. I was like, I'm a some goofy AF, but you know what?
yeah, I was like, this story is like crazy, and then you were like, yeah, he headbutted him to death. Like, what? That's
Yeah,
fucking
so
insane.
fun, so fun. Um, so the next topic that I wanted to talk about, excuse me here while I find my glasses because I'm getting old and I
Help me, I
can't
can't
see.
find my glasses.
I can't see without my glasses. Let me clean these suckers up. So you know what? To stall time, so you don't have to edit this whole part out.
Okay.
um, my mother and I, oh, her birthday's today. Please say happy birthday to my mom. She turned
Happy
70.
birthday. Happy birthday.
She's
Dude, that is
old.
still so wild to me.
That she's that old.
Yeah.
Yeah, she had me at 42, guys. Isn't that wild?
Yeah. Like I think your mom is the same age as my grandma.
Yeah, they are
Yeah.
actually. And
That's
I love
fucking
connecting
wild.
those two facts. So whenever you're like Nana brings up her birthday, like her age, I'm like, dude, you're the same age. You could be my mom. I'm gonna start calling Nana mom. Hey mom. Glasses are clean. Thank you for waiting so patiently, everyone. So the next topic I'm gonna talk about is Mark Ruffalo. We all know Mark Ruffalo. If you don't know Mark Ruffalo, I think
You've been living
most of
under a
you will
rock.
most of you will know him as the Hulk. So in the year 2000, Mark Ruffalo, he was being interviewed and he was saying how in the year 2000 he went asleep and he had a dream. This dream was different from all the other dreams because there was no narrative. There's no voices, there's no one speaking, there's no thought process, no events. In his dream, he simply got knowledge. He described it as knowledge because no one said it. I didn't say it. I just knew it. That he had the knowledge in his dream, or he was given the knowledge in his dream that he had a tumor, I believe on the left side of his head behind his ear. And he woke up and he decided to take his dream seriously. So what he did the next day is he went to work, and while he was filming a certain movie, they have a doctor on set, and he went to the doctor and he told him, "Listen, I know I'm gonna sound ridiculous, but I had a dream that I had a tumor, um, and I just feel like I want to take a look at it." And the doctor said, "Yes, you do sound ridiculous, but I'll still make you an appointment to see like a neurologist."
Uh-huh.
So he goes to the neurologist. He gets the CT scan and everything. And when the neurologist comes back in, he was saying that her face is completely white and that she said, "You have a tumor the size of a golf ball exactly where you said it was, behind your ear on your left side of your head." Thoughts?
That's that's
Isn't that
crazy.
crazy? Now every
I
time I have a dream that something's medically wrong with me, I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna die.
I don't know. I had a dream that I got a couple $1 million the other night, so
Ooh,
that
manifest.
would be nice.
That
But
would be so nice.
that's just like some of the crazy things that, and I think it has a lot to do with our brain because we only
Hmm.
use, what is it, like 7% of our brain or something?
A crazy number like that, yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like there's a lot more. Like our brain can tell us that like what's wrong with our body. We just don't know how to access that.
There's a
And
lot
maybe
more
he,
that us humans are capable of, that's for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, and maybe he accessed like that ability in his dream and at that point in his life. But
Yeah,
that's insane.
yeah. So I really enjoyed hearing that, and I thought I'd share because I don't know, I thought that was pretty cool. Like, okay, I had a dream I kissed Pedro Pascal. It's gonna come true. Um, all right, let's go ahead and move on. Would you like to get us started with the true crime topic of the week?
Sure. So Ghosties, Veronica and I did not do this on purpose.
Mm-mm. I tipped
she
out.
she put her paranormal topic of the week in our notes, and it has to do with the pharmacy. And I was laughing, and I put my topic in, and it blew her mind because I'm going to talk about the unsolved case of the Chicago Tylenol murders.
It's just a
And
pharmaceutical type of week, you know?
yeah, yeah. So, and the crazy part is, I've had this episode like planned out in my notes for weeks now, like probably
Mhm.
months. And so the fact that she was like, mentally on the same page as like, fuck it, let's just go into the pharmacy thing this week.
Mm-hmm. Love this for us. We're
Right?
connected.
We're vibing.
And why did you say it like that?
I
You
didn't
said
say
it
it
like
like
a
any.
weirdo. Yes, you we're vibing. Like, don't you ever. Oh my gosh.
Okay, I don't understand, but I'll just go with it. So,
Oh.
in 1982, there was a series of poisonings that resulted from drug tampering in the Chicago metropolitan area. What happened was these victims consumed Tylenol brand. How do you say that big word, Miss Pharmacist?
Spell it out for me.
What is
Acetaminophen.
Tylenol? Yeah, acetaminophen that had been laced with potassium cyanide. So, of these killings in Chicago only, 7 people died. So, it started on September 28th, 1982, when 12-year-old Mary Kellerman was hospitalized after she consumed extra strength Tylenol. On September 29th, she died. And on that same day, 6 other individuals that consumed contaminated Tylenol were admitted to the hospitals, which included Adam Janis, who was 27, Stanley Janis, 25, Teresa Janis, 20, and Mary McFarland, Paula Prince, and Mary Reiner. All 6 of them, Mary Kellerman makes 7, they all died from these consumptions. If you notice, the first 3 names that I had said were all from the same family, and they started an investigation to figure out what happened. And so they visited their house, discovered the Tylenol bottle, and turned it over to investigators who smelled the bottle.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know this, but cyanide smells like almonds.
What? That's actually a
Yeah.
fun fact.
Yeah. So when the investigators smelled the bottle and smelled almonds instead of the Tylenol smell, they sent it to the county's chief toxicologist,
Mm-hmm.
and who determined that each of the capsules that remained in that bottle from their household contained nearly 3 times the fatal amount of cyanide. 3 times the amount.
Wow.
Um, of course, after this, authorities held a press conference advertising the public to not take Tylenol for the time being. After connecting the deaths of all of the victims, investigators and Johnson and Johnson, who is the manufacturer of Tylenol, recalled all the bottles from the same lot because Kellerman and the Janus household used that same lot. But then later into the investigation, they found that the other victims used Tylenol from different lots. And so Johnson and Johnson decided to have an entire countrywide recall of Tylenol.
Wow.
Now, this was an estimated of 31 million bottles that were currently out in the US at the time, with which had a retail value of 100 million. In today's money, that would be $303 million in recalls.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, this recall, it is one of the largest pharmaceutical recalls in recorded history. And for good reason, like that was the thing. Now, when they traced the lots back to the manufacturer locations, they were from different locations, which suggested that the capsules were tampered with after the product had already been put on the store shelves. So the hypothesis for this is that someone had taken the bottles off on the shelves, placed potassium cyanide in some of the capsules, and then placed the bottles back on the shelves to be purchased by unknowing customers. Other than the 5 bottles that were used to kill the 7 victims, a few other contaminated bottles were later discovered in the Chicago area, including one from Judge Lewis V. Morgan, whose wife, Linda Morgan, had thrown away a bottle that had had an off scent to it. So, ghosties, a little tip: like smell your meds before you take them.
Just don't smell your antibiotics because those shits fucking stink. There you go. Tip of the day.
Well, I don't know. If you smell them and they don't stink and they smell like almonds, then you know that something's not right.
But then you're not
I'm
gonna want
just
to take the antibiotic and then it's gonna taste like how it smells. Guys, you know what? It's your life or the antibiotic, you
anyways.
know?
During the initial investigation, a man named James William Lewis was accused of sending a letter to Johnson and Johnson demanding $1 million to stop the cyanide-induced murders. So Lewis was found to have a book of poisoning, and according to law enforcement documents, his fingerprints were discovered on pages that were related to cyanide. Now, Lewis denied being responsible for the poisonings, but he did admit to writing the letter, which he said he had worked on for 3 days. Now, keep that in mind, okay?
Mhm.
During his trial, his attorneys claimed that Lewis intended only to focus the attention of authorities on his wife's former employer. That was a quote. He was convicted of extortion and sentenced to 10 years in prison for trying to claim $1 million. And in 2007, when the authorities were relooking over the case, they determined that the letter had a postmark of October 1st, 1982, meaning that if Lewis had been working on this letter for 3 days, he would have been working on this letter prior to the first news reports concerning the poisonings, which means he must
Mhm.
have known it beforehand.
Mhm.
When they confronted him with the information, he took back his timeline and said that that wasn't true. Court documents that were released in early 2009 showed that the Department of Justice investigators highly believe that Lewis was responsible for the poisonings, despite the fact that they did not have enough evidence to charge him. In 2010, when they were redoing the case again, Lewis and his wife submitted DNA samples and fingerprints to the authorities, and they did not match any of the DNA recovered on the bottles.
Mhm.
Like I said, I've had this story for a couple of weeks already. And the reason for that is because James William Lewis kept popping up on my news sources
Mhm.
because he did pass away July 9th of this year in 2003.
Mhm.
There was another man, Roger Arnold, who was also a suspect in the crimes. They did do DNA testing and fingerprint testing for him as well, but none of them matched the samples that were recovered from the bottles. These crimes are still under investigation to this day, and they were renewed in 2009, 2010, and 2011. And law enforcement officials in 2010 said that the review was prompted in part by the 25th anniversary of the crime at that time, and that advancements in forensic technology made it only natural that they would be looking at the case again to see if they could deduct any evidence. Even as early or as recent as 2011, the FBI did request DNA samples from a Unabomber by the name of Ted Kaczynski. We're just going to go with that, okay? Ted K. And he did live in the Chicago area at the time of the crimes, but nothing has become of his DNA sample. So as of right now, the case is still unsolved. But there were a lot of copycats in the 80s, including a University of Texas student who died. In Washington, two people were killed from cyanide tainted boxes of Sudafed, and another person went into a coma because of a similar poisoning. Others include a brand of aspirin was also recalled after a hoax in Chicago and Detroit areas, so that they were also poisoned, and sales dropped significantly. So there was a lot of copycats during that time, which created a scare, including in the year that it happened because of the Tylenol scare, which happened at the end of September, early October, right around the time of Halloween.
Mhm.
Citizens were very scared of poisoned candy. And so that was one of the years where Halloween candy was at its lowest sales.
That's sad.
I
Understandable,
mean,
but sad.
justified. I mean, it's justified.
Yeah.
But Johnson and Johnson were highly respected for the coverage and handling of this crisis, including a quote that claims Johnson and Johnson has effectively demonstrated how a major business ought to handle a disaster, which is true. Their quick thinking probably saved a lot of lives, even though it did cost them a lot of money. They made up for that tenfold because people trusted them so much after that. not only
Hmm.
because of their quick response to the crisis, but also because they were one of the first to take change in how meds are packaged, including the things that we see today. Even though they're a bitch to open today, that's for our safety.
Yeah, imagine having to go through that every single day as your job.
Dude, at this point, like I've broken so many nails trying to get those fucking packages opens that I take knives now and I just stab the bottle open.
Yeah, I'm just gonna get you like a pharmacy spatula. Like, they're the
Ooh,
best.
that sounds like a great birthday present. Let me get you
Maybe
a
next year.
pharmaceutical knife.
Pharmaceutical. Well,
But
it's not a knife. You can't hurt people with this one, unfortunately, Chelsea, for you.
I mean, people have taken people's arms, so anything is possible.
Um. Oh,
I'm just
no.
saying, anything can be made into a weapon, okay? But we're gonna come back to the Tylenol crisis. So Johnson and Johnson did sue the insurance company for the recall, but despite their arguments, they were not covered for this, and they did give out a lump sum of money to the victims' families. And they did say in a quote that though there is no way we could have anticipated a criminal tampering with our product or prevented it, we wanted to do something for the families and finally get this tragic event behind us. So they didn't have to pay out to the families, but they did so, which I think was another reason why they were so highly respected after this whole thing, because they not only took a hit, but they took a bigger hit by paying their respects to these victims' families.
Hmm.
But yeah, if you're ever buying a bottle of Tylenol, just be sure to check your packaging
Yeah.
because you never know when the Tylenol murder will strike again. Or a copycat, because people are stupid.
People are really stupid,
Hmm.
unfortunately.
Unfortunately. So, do you want to get us started on the paranormal topic of the week?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So I'm gonna be talking about the ghost of the pharmacy museum. I don't know why. I just wanted to look something pharmacy related and I found this and now I want to visit it really bad. So I'm gonna read an article found on ghostcitytours.com that pretty much gives us all the information we need. So let's get started. Located at 514 Chartres Street in New Orleans, Pharmacy Museum is a popular attraction for tourists visiting New Orleans. Inside, you can view all sorts of medical contraptions, some looking rather medieval. What you might not see are the ghosts which haunt the Pharmacy Museum. For years, people have been reported having paranormal activity inside of the Pharmacy Museum. So, who could it be that is haunting the Pharmacy Museum? Well, you'll have the chance to hear the particulars on our world famous ghost tours. Here is a snippet to tide you over until the end. Make sure you check out their page, guys. I think I'm gonna check out their page when I do my tour. That's for sure. So, the history of the Pharmacy Museum. Louis Duf- Duflo, Dufilo, Jr. was born in 1788 in Mirande, France. He was the son of Jean Dufilo. I'm just gonna say it like that, even though I sound Italian. And Jean Marie Bonnet, who moved the family to New Orleans sometime between 1800 and 1803. Louis also had an older brother who was also named Louis. The older Louis and Jean opened a pharmacy at 12, oh my God, Toulouse Street. And census records show that the family also lived here in 1805. In 1816, Louis Jr., the youngest, graduated from the college. What? The College of Pharmacy.
I hope you know I'm keeping that in.
It's fine.
I love when
Uh,
we have like tongue twister nights and we're just like, wait, what?
yeah, my brain, it's not working. So, graduated from the College of Pharmacy in Paris, France. Upon his return, the two older brothers started their own pharmacy at 63 Chartres Street. To figure out these names, man. until the younger Lewis started his own pharmacy at the present day location of the Pharmacy Museum in 1823. The younger Lewis went on to become America's first licensed pharmacist. Louis DeFilo married Emmy Adele Becknell in 1819. They had 7 children together, although only 4 of them lived past childhood. Their children, Louis, born and died in 1820, Delphine died in 1824 as a child. Emily went on to marry Pierre Rosette Palmier. Josephine went on to marry Adolphe Giles. Adele went on to marry Leopold Jeanette Remus. Jules died in 1832 as a child. Alfred born in 1833 and married Corinne Taylor. The DeFilo family lived in this location until 1855. At that time, they sold it to Flatus Dupas and her husband, Dr. Joseph Dupas, for $18,000. $18,000, guys. Yes, it
Jesus.
was back in the 1800s, but dude. Dr. Dupas lived in the home until his death in 1867 from syphilis. Now, moving on to the hauntings of the pharmacy. So, according to local legend, Dupas imposed shocking experiments on pregnant slaves, and other people have stated that he performed voodoo rites within the property itself as well. Today, it is said that Dr. Dupas' ghost haunts the pharmacy museum after it closes. The ghost is seen wearing a brown suit and most oftentimes a matching brown top hat, too. His ghost appears to be of a man in his mid 60s. He is said to be short and stocky with a mustache. His spirit is responsible for throwing books, moving items that are on display in the museum, and triggering the alarm system even in the dead of night. A paranormal team who spent time here said that pregnant women in the presence of this evil entity are very susceptible to empathic physical reactions. We have not been able to verify the part of the story that talks about Dr. Dupas using slaves during experiments. Could this have happened? It's not implausible, as doing experiments on the enslaved at this time was not unheard. Alternatively, what?
Alternatively,
Thank you. However, it seems like slaves being tortured or used during medical experiments is a common theme for many ghost stories here in New Orleans. Many of the New Orleans ghost stories you hear being told by ghost tour companies are not verified, yet presented as fact. When Ghost City Tours visited the Pharmacy Museum, the kid working the front desk looked bored and we jokingly asked him if he knows of any ghost in the building. We didn't tell him that we owned a ghost tour company in New Orleans, simply played the part of a tourist. He repeated the story mentioned above, but also mentioned that 2 children have been seen inside the building and out in the courtyard behind the building. Naturally, we asked if he knew if they were boys or girls. He said as far as he knows, it's a boy and a girl. Well, guess what? Look at the dates above for Louis DeFilo's children. Both Delphine and Remus would have died during the time the DeFilo family lived in this location. Could this explain the ghosts which have been seen here? I think so. I think the
hmm,
family's still chilling there, you know?
yeah,
But that's my paranormal topic of the week. Go ahead and check them out. Do you want to get us started on the tarot card reading?
sure. But before we do that, that's definitely gonna have to be added to our list in New Orleans.
Oh, yes. Hands down, I want to do it.
I feel like I feel like at this point, like we're gonna just stay a month in New Orleans.
Well, actually, I'm down. Eat jambalaya every day. Okay.
Okay, so ghosties, it's that time of the month, the
Not that
beginning.
type of the month. The other
Yeah, the
time of the month.
beginning. It's a new month. The year is
Again,
just flying by. Veronica and I were
zooming
just talking
by.
about how we swear we just did this reading and
I could have sworn.
what feels like a week ago, but it really wasn't.
Yeah.
For this month, card 1 is going to represent our theme, of course. Card 2 is going to represent the energies around us at the start of the month. Card 3 is going to represent our career and finances. Card 4 is going to represent our love and relationships. Card 5 will represent our health. Cards 6, 7, and 8 will all represent notable events that will happen this month. And card 9 will represent a important will let me Card 9 represents important achievements for this month. So card 1, the theme of the month, is represented by the Wheel of Fortune reversed. There it is.
Dude, I looked up the meaning and the first word I see is bad luck.
Oh fuck. So the theme of the month is changing our futures starts with accepting responsibility for where we are now. So we need to consider our actions that have led us to present circumstances. And even when we think that control, there is something that you could have done differently that might have changed where you are now. So what you learn from this and your past is how you can apply it to your future. So basically, we fucked up and we need to figure out how and why and how we can fix it.
I'm also getting that there's gonna be a lot of us that are aware that we have some bad habits that we
Mm,
maybe need to change
guilty.
because this card also represents also represents breaking cycles. So let's break the bad cycles. Let's put a halt to that and start moving the right direction. You may feel some kind of resistance to change, but fight that off because change could be so good for you. It's scary to think about. I know a lot of people hate change, but if you make it, good things will happen.
Yes, and kind of playing into that, that is kind of our theme for the month. But card 2 represents the energies that are surrounding us at the start of the month. And this is coming through the 10 of Pentacles. And this is representing kind of like bliss, reaching milestones, settling down, building solid foundations and security. And so the energies that are surrounding us are that we want that and we're creating that. And this goes back to the Wheel of Fortune reverse, where we need to look at our past and how we messed up in order to create the future we want.
Don't don't whenever we make mistakes, I think people are prone to like just feeling bad about themselves and then regretting it every day of their lives. Um, Something I try to do on the daily is whenever I fuck up on something, I own it. I know I own up to it.
Mm-hmm.
But I make sure I take something from it, whether it's a lesson or whatever it may be, right?
Yeah.
Um, so don't be scared to like start over or continue on after making a mistake because you're just preventing yourself from, long-term success, like mentioned, so
And maybe also try not to think of it as mistakes. Try to think of them as learning experiences. I don't
yeah,
know if have you watched Miley Cyrus's new music video that she just released?
no,
So it's called Used to Be Young, and she's kind of reminiscing about how she used to be crazy, used to be wild and really out there, and a lot of people bashed her for it, and she in her song is basically saying like she doesn't regret a second of her past because she
yeah,
used to be young, and we all have learning experiences. So accept who you used to be, who you were, in order to be the person that you want to be.
exactly. I mean, she's a great example of that. If she didn't
Hmm.
look at it that way, she would have been in a hole.
Yeah.
But instead she took that all as a lesson and look how great she's doing.
Hmm. Also, side note, I don't know if you know this, but Selena Gomez just released a new music video too.
Bro, Selena be looking fine.
Oh, dude, I know. She looks really good right now.
I'm a Selena.
Also, Demi Lovato is coming out with a new music video soon.
Bro, Demi Lovato's coming out with a whole new album where she's making rock versions of her past songs, and I'm
Yes, I'm here for
flipping
it.
here for it because something
Yeah.
I love. Okay, here's the thing. For those of you who don't know, I am a musician, an amateur. And one thing I love is not only hearing like an original song, but also hearing someone else's cover of that song. Some
Hmm.
people butcher songs, and I'm not okay with that, but some people really bring a different like perspective out of that song, like a different sound. I don't know. And so I love hearing people make a more powerful version of the original song. Just it that's just what I love hearing. I don't know how to say it. That's just the
Yeah.
music I love. So for Demi to be doing this, and I've already heard a couple of her other covers of her past songs in the rock
Hmm.
version, and I'm just dying, dude. I'm dying for this album.
Yeah, me too. Another side note, off topic, one of my favorite cover bands is Our Last Night. They have their own like music, but they mostly do like a lot of covers, and they add like it's hard rock and screams in it, and it just
Mhm.
oh, I love their
In that
covers. Like
case,
they, huh?
I said in that case you should listen to Halocene.
Ooh, yes, yes, I already do.
I love them. I love them. I
I
love
do
her.
too. Yes. Okay, back on topic.
Yes, sorry Z.
So, card three is our career and finances this month, and it's represented through the Seven of Cups reversed. So, we're finding clarity and coming back to reality, and we're taking the steps that we need to take to make things happen. And I don't know about you, but what we were just talking about with me before we started
Hmm.
recording, I feel like this
Hmm.
is like reaffirming that I'm on the right track.
Hmm.
But despite kind of like getting back on track, we are also overwhelmed by choices and options. And it can almost seem impossible to look forward, but we really need to just sit down. And this is what the other cards are saying too. We really just need to sit down and analyze everything in order to be proactively making progress. So the next card, card four, represents love and relationships, and this comes through the Queen of Wands. Our love and relationships are represented by outgoing and high energy, even optimism and independence. We're accomplishing a lot of tasks, and some of us might even have a nice sex appeal. But either way, we are taking charge and organizing our love and relationships, and we're trying to have a positive energy around this. But even if we can't stay positive, we're not afraid to speak up and stand up for ourselves, which, villain era energy right there.
A lot of people are saying, going back to Selena, a lot of people are saying that she's going through her villain era.
Good. She deserves it.
She does. I'm so excited for her. Uh, anyways, get your shit, guys. Get your shit.
So card five is representing our health this month, and this comes through the Queen of Pentacles reversed. I feel like this card is mostly going towards our mental health, and we're probably, despite having a positive attitude, trying to look at the future or look at the past to make the future better, we're probably causing like misplaced priorities, maybe even making us greedy or jealous or controlling. And so we really need to ground ourselves and make sure that we don't overinvest in any particular one thing, so that way we don't neglect the other things in our lives. We need to overcome any insecurities that we have and work on building our confidence in order to avoid any type of relationship issues.
So here's the thing. I don't think any of us are listening to the cards because last month we got a card, and I know you guys remember this about self care, and we had a whole ass conversation about it. So whoever's not listening, because I know I
Fucking
am,
listen.
I have a new skincare routine, girl. My hair is curly, looking nice. Get your shit together and spend some time on you.
Right. And listen, I know it's not me this month because I just had like a full self care day the other week where I did my hair, I dyed it again after months, I did my nails. I didn't have kids that day, so it's not me fucking up this time.
Yeah.
So, cards six, seven, and eight are notable events that are happening this month. So, card six is represented by death reversed. So, a notable event that's going to happen this month is we are going to be on the verge of a meaningful change, but we're resisting it. Are you not listening to the previous cards?
No.
Some questions to ask yourself are, why is this happening and what is holding you back? we're probably going through a massive personal transformation in private, but we need to remember that we can't change the actions of others. So
Mm,
you need to make changes that are best for you and stop resisting those changes. And listen, I just recently did that and it's fucking hard, but it needs to be done.
mm-hmm. Period.
Yeah.
Punto.
So card 7, another notable event that's going to be happening, is represented by the Five of Swords reversed. We're ready to resolve conflicts and to make amends, relieve stress, or just move on. Even though it's better to have resolutions, sometimes the best way to solve a problem is to walk away, move on, and open yourself up to new positive energies and better ideas. So I feel like this month is going to be very hard for everybody if we're getting two different cards saying, like, hey, like shit's about to hit the fan. We need to make a change for the better. So the last notable event that's happening this month is represented through the Five of Pentacles reverse. So after these two difficult situations that are going to be happening, difficult times are going to be coming to an end, and we're going to be recovering from financial loss or other overwhelming situations. And there's a positive change coming to us, either through relationships, finances, luck, work, including maybe even finding a new job and what you love to do. But either way, your life is beginning to improve. So you need to look out for those opportunities that are going to serve you.
I know there's one more card left to this reading, but like overall, the message I'm getting is that either something has already happened or something is going to happen that's not in our
And
favor.
it's going to be rough.
And it's going to be rough, but the cards are letting you know that to use that occasion, whatever's going to happen or whatever happened, to use that as a lesson, to take
Yes.
something out of it, to move on from it, to
Find the
to
light at the end of
accept
the
it.
tunnel.
Yeah, to accept it, because once you accept it and lesson learned, you'll be able to move on, and you'll be able to find, you know you're going to reach goals that you've been trying to get to, pretty
Hmm.
much. Because maybe there are some things that have been holding you back from reaching those goals that you weren't willing to come in acceptance with.
Hmm.
And once burn that bridge, you're able to just continue on with your journey.
Yeah, exactly. So the last card, card 9, is an important achievement for this month, and this comes through the Empress reversed. And going back to what Veronica said about the card that we got last month, this card means that you need to make self love and self care a priority. Right now is the time to bring your energy and your focus back into balance. And so that is an achievement that we should aim towards this month.
Yeah, don't depend on others too much. You're not always going to have that safety net, so don't get
Hmm.
used to it. Yes, it's nice to have every once in a while and accept, but or I mean, like, accept the help, but it just feels so much better when you're doing something on your own to achieve a goal of yours. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So take any first baby step to kind of find more of your independence.
This is going to be a rough month.
I know. I don't look forward to September.
Can we just fast forward to October?
It'll be October in like 2 weeks.
Dude, I know.
And he'll be 29 in like 3 weeks.
So before we end this episode, Ghosties, I would just like to say, because we've got achievements and stuff, that I am finally caught up on uploading all of our episodes to YouTube.
Yay, but it wasn't all your fault because YouTube wouldn't let you upload
Yeah, and I
somewhere
don't know if
else.
it was YouTube or if it was my internet or like both, but anyways, everything is caught
Point
up and
is
I'm
that it
so
wasn't your
excited.
fault.
Yeah, and
I'm
I'm
excited
excited
too.
because that was like 12 episodes, more than 12 episodes get caught up on, and oh,
We
I
should
feel
really
so
do
great.
a live stream soon.
Ooh, yeah. So look up for that, Ghosties. We're gonna live stream soon.
Hmm.
But thank you for joining us this week. We hope you guys had as much fun as we did. This was a wild episode. I feel like we were like on a roller coaster.
Yeah, there was a lot going on.
Yeah, between your demonic
Snake,
snake
yeah,
to pharmacies to
having dreams that you have a tumor.
yeah, it was just like all over the place. But make sure you guys give us a follow on Instagram and TikTok, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you guys want a tarot reading, DM us, and we will pick one person a week to have a tarot reading for. We are your hosts. I'm Chelsea.
And I'm Veronica.
Have a spooky weekend, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
Bye.